Yeah, we are doing this. Okay, we're just getting live. Meanwhile, let me start sharing. So, Hare Krishna. I believe we are online now. So, I welcome everyone in today's session, which is on nectar of instruction. Nectar of instruction. We have been doing. So, we have completed Bhagavad Gita. This is the nectar of instruction. We are doing verse one. There are not many verses here. So there are only 11 verses in Nectar of Instruction. But if you remember, Shri Upanishad, which is one of the Upanishad, only has, I think it is, or Mandukya Upanishad is even shorter. I think there are only 12 verses there. Mandukya Upanishad is even shorter than the Shri Upanishad. But Nectar of Instruction is 11 verses, and the first four verses are the main verses, which to any great detail, if you like to practically follow, then these four verses will do the job. And this is due to Rupa Goswamiji, who is the author. So we always say the compiler. So Ved Vyasji was the compiler, or is the compiler, but because all the Vedas they were there. For Mahakavya, yes, we can say he even though this was also past, so something which had happened, a story, and somebody put it together, then we could say compiler. Srila Prabhupada put together Bhagavad Gita as it is, but also in one sense compiled all the different acharyas and then wrote in his own words in English language. And then later on, many other disciples they translated in many different languages. I think it's over 100 languages they are available there now in the market. Rupa Goswamiji is the author of Nectar of Instruction. Srila Prabhupada made it available for us in English, and he was his role model, has always been the role model. He is the way each one of us could connect to Srila Prabhupada is through his book, because Srila Prabhupada, through his books, through his words, become our Acharya, our Siksha Guru. So he's the founder Acharya, but he's also the Siksha Guru of everyone. That's one way he connects to everyone and will always connect to everyone, whoever will join this movement. And this is the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's books. So let's do the quick Mangala Charan and then we shall resume our Nectar of Instruction. So, Om. अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानजनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवै नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथवितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सवादूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasavi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shila Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, jai jai Shri Radhesha. Hare Krishna. While I was doing today's Mangalacharan, I remember my mother many years back, or maybe 15 years back. So my mom was here and I put Bhagavatam in Hindi audio for her. And so, right, very first thing in the morning, and then later afternoon as well. I think sometimes I was working from home, otherwise, sometimes when I come from office, and whenever I get chance, I was putting Bhagavatam in Hindi for her. My dad was there as well, but especially for my mom because she's a bit more spiritual. And I remember one thing my mom said that. Whether I get anything or not for herself, she said, whether I get something or not from Bhagavatam, she said that in this house, because I think we must have bought, oh, well, we bought the house few years back and then she traveled the very first time. She said this house will get purified because all the time Bhagavatam is recited in this house. And so this is when I was reciting the Mangala Charan, that whether somebody could join in or not, like kids are there, sometimes they can't join or they don't want to join, and sometimes no one is there, but Mangala Charan has been recited, and that puts the vibration together. I remember, so two examples, one from Buddhism. One of a great acharya, he said that so in Buddhism, one of the main thing is the meditation. Just sit down and do meditation. That's it. If you can't do anything else, just do meditation. If they can't make anyone understand the philosophy, they just say, "Come, I will give you some instructions. Let's just do the meditation." That's it. And if you understand everything else and you don't do meditation, then you lost the essence. So meditation is the main thing. And they say that there's one place where we all do meditations, and then and there are only few places like when you go to the monastery, there's one place where obviously people will dormitory, people will sleep, take shower, get ready, and then they will go to the meditation room or they will go to the kitchen. There isn't anything else. And I've been to three different countries of this setup and similar setup. There isn't anything else. Sometimes in UK, for example, it rains a lot because you have to you if you're going to do the meditation for the whole day, then you can't just sit because especially when you grow old, your knees and your hips, your back, lower back, they all start paining. After a while, it does to anyone. And then it's walking meditation. So you sit down for the meditation, but also you take a break and you walk and you're still doing the meditation. And Srila Prabhupada always did. Wherever he went, he had his bead bag with him. And in the morning, he always went out for the walking meditation. And a lot of recordings are there where Srila Prabhupada ji answering his disciples' questions while taking the walk. And people used to, well, I think Nelson Mandela used to do the same. He would walk every morning. Well, of course, so that could be one thing. But the idea for the meditation, where the place they do meditation, they say if anyone is disturbed. So a couple of personally, I remember a couple of devotees they had mentioned one of the Prabhuji and one of the Mataji in Buddhism, and they said whenever I got agitated, I went to that place and it really helped me. And then after that, I started doing that. And for many years, I've been doing it and it helps me a lot. So what do they do? If for some reason, one day something is wrong in the family, the work is not going good, health is not going good. Remember, three ways how we get affected by the material nature. that we had Adi Bhautik, Adi Devik, and Adhyatmik. So body and mind, and then the other people around us, and the nature, or what we call demigods. They control the nature. These three ways we get disturbed, and if you get disturbed, what do? You just go and sit where people do meditation. Where people do meditation, you go and sit there. And the same thing, in ISKCON, one of the leaders, he said it. He said that whenever somebody used to come to me and complain about it, this Gauranga Prabhuji from Mumbai shared one of the videos. He said, I don't think it's Radhanath Swamiji Maharaj who is his spiritual master, but his senior Vaishnavas, one of them. He said that I asked him that how do you because then he was in the management later on. He has been in management for a long time now. And he asked his senior that now I got a management role in the temple. How do you cater with all these people who come around with not the spiritual issues, the other issues that oh that devotee did that and that person did that, oh this is going wrong, how did you fix it? And then Prabhuji said that they all come mainly during either weekdays or during weekends, because weekends devotees come together and meet, and then of course more people you meet, more disturbances you have. And when they come and they say to me, oh this is a problem, can you give me the solution, I always ask them, come in the morning, like Monday morning or any weekdays, come morning, meet me after Mangla Aarti. Meet me after Mangla Aarti. So come attend the Mangla Aarti, because of course if somebody gonna meet you in Mangla Aarti is right in the morning. Mangla Aarti finishes around 5:30. So somebody going to come and meet you after Mangla Aarti, and after 5:30 till 7, 1.5 hours, people, devotees in the temple, they do the 16 rounds. Right? If you do 16 rounds at one stretch, then it will take 1.5 hours. And that's what people do. They say, come during that period or even after that, or just because before 7 o'clock. So, of course, if somebody is going to meet you 5:30, then they would love to attend the Mangla Aarti as well. So, come attend the Mangla Aarti and we will chat. And after that, he said that most of the people don't come. Most of the people don't come. And then said, I started chasing people because this was the strategy I tried. And then I asked people that, oh, well, you had the problem, you didn't come. Let's talk now. And he said most of the people after that just could not discuss the issue. Why? Remember what we said? When the person gets enlightened, it's not that the questions get answered. Questions just get dissolved. The questions are not there at all. Not that we get the answers to them. The questions, they don't arise anymore. And that's where we would like it to be. It's not that we have found the solutions of the miseries, it's that those miseries are not miseries anymore. And there are many other examples we can understand. But Mangalacharan is one of those where wherever you do Mangalacharan, then hopefully we create that momentum there. So let's get into Nectar of Instruction, and we will recite. So, Vacho Vegam Mansaha Krodha Vegam Jiva Vegam Udarupastha Vegam Etan Vegan Yuvishyate Dhiraha Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sashishyat. So we have seen what this verse is saying. There are six urges we get. There are six urges we get, and we would like to come out of these urges. We don't want to be in these urges at all. But what is the process? How we could come out? And this is what we are trying to learn here. So what are the six urges? Six urges are speech. So speak less. Whenever you speak, be conscious of what we're going to speak. Mind, then we think of the thoughts. Anger, and Bhagavad Gita gives a great flow how anger arises. Right? If one thing, anger, if we can control, then of course all these things are very much associated. Well, anger is one of those things where people say, like we were saying, people do anger management, especially in the West. People do anger management. We only try to manage something when we have a belief we cannot fix it. So in the industry, we call risk management, risk mitigation, risk avoidance, right? So there are few risks we cannot get rid of them. Then we will try to mitigate them, right? We will do risk transfer. We will have insurance. Oh, well, we cannot fix, like, the body is there going to die sometime, body is going to get sick sometime. Let's have the health insurance, right? So these ways we mitigate, we transfer the, or if we can avoid it, great, avoid it, but risk management. So similarly, when we say anger management, that means we have accepted that anger will come. But in Vedic culture, we say, no, we can find the roots of it. Whether we say Buddhism, what Buddhism says, if we will get suffering. But there is, the beauty is that not only that there is suffering, not only that this is Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalyam, not only that this is Ashashvatam, Dukhalyam, it's a temporary, miserable place. But the beauty is there is a solution available as well. And this is what Bhagavad Gita says as well. That anger arises because of cravings. Cravings arises because of the thoughts. Thoughts, the contemplation comes because of the sense objects. Classic example, we would like to watch a movie. But how did we find out about the movie? Because either we heard a song about it, we saw a trailer, right? So whatever we get associate with, we desire for the same thing, right? That's it. It's as simple as that. If we will find out, oh, there is a retreat going to happen, we desire, we would like to attend that retreat. And that retreat could be a spiritual retreat. Yeah. Or it could be like my brother-in-law asked, I think ashes are going on. So I don't know about it. I don't watch. uh, oh, not a bad thing if somebody watches, but my brother-in-law, he's great, keep taking or keep, well, as long as I know him, keeping a track of all these cricket. He would play as well, but more than playing, he would watch. So he asked my son, now who you think is going to win Ashes? My son had no idea. Well, of course, there are only two teams there. He knew that. Well, we didn't know that the Ashes going on. And the reply was that, well, we would rather go out and play. At least that's going to keep us healthy. But we don't really sit back and watch. And not that we shouldn't watch. But of course, if you have better things to do, but only when you will know. Now, if I know about Ashes, I might go, oh, well, let's see who won it. Or let's see who is winning the series this time, right? But because we heard about it. But of course, like what Srila Prabhupada ji said it, that why my disciples bow down? Because I have won over sex urges. And then disciples thought, how someone can do that? And then he said that not only that I won over the sex urges, I don't have time for it. And that's just a great teachings. We don't have a time for it. Right? And I learned that lesson from Ajay Prabhuji when Ishan was growing up, and now Ishan is more or less adult. That keep the kids so much busy that they won't have the energy left for the distractions. Great thing to do. Great thing to do if you could. Sometime it works out, sometime it not, of course. But if you could manage that, that would be great. So the contemplation is there where we get the association. Hare Krishna. And then the tongue, the belly, the genitals, they just follow on what we just said. So this is what we have already seen. So we are just going to, the real atonement is a great example which Srila Prabhupada ji discussed in detail in the purpose. That now what it says there, whether the enlightened person is not going to get angry. Oh, yeah, that's true. Might not get angry, but might get angry. Might get angry. But that anger won't stay for long. And the anger might come for a good cause, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji got angry. Well, Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji didn't get angry when somebody did offense directly to him. No offense taken. No worries. But when Nityananda Prabhuji was attacked and was bleeding, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji got angry. The Lord himself got angry? Yeah. The cause, right? What was the cause? So the enlightened beings also can get angry, but what is the reason behind it? And of course, the reason is not the means to justify the wrong reason, but whichever way this will happen, that won't stay for long. That's the main thing. It and slowly, gradually, it will not come. But even if during the practice, because we all are sadhakas, even if that will happen, then we need to atone. And reason of atonement is not to punish ourselves. Reason of atonement is that the same thing will not happen again. And the whole thing in the middle is association. So that is indeed the main thing. That we don't want the wrong association. And we discussed this as well, where, so very quickly, that this one flow chart gives the flow of the whole purport Srila Prabhupada is given, where the Maharaj Parikshit gave some examples on atonement, right? See, the reason we need to understand atonement, like what we just said, that we are not there yet. We will make mistakes. When we make mistakes, we do need to do the atonement. Then what kind of atonements are there for us? And that atonement is not just for us, that atonement is for others as well. It could be for our kids. And sometimes some other devotees, they ask for it. Because you've been there for 10, 15 years in Krishna consciousness. Somebody else might ask, what would you say? You would give example of atonements. And that atonement should be a real practical, purposeful atonement, not just for the sake of. Elephant in bath, we have seen the way elephant will take so much time and efforts in the bath that as soon as come back, go back dirty again. Thief and police, how many thieves are there who get caught, get in the police jail and come back and do the same thing? Years after years. Redemption, how to fix ourselves. Confessions in other religions, we go out, we do the confessions, come out and make the mistakes, go back again, make the confession, and the process goes on. I think there's a very famous book, and I think if you say top 5 famous books in the world ever, one of the books, and there is a movie on that as well, Angels and Demons. In that, one of the character does exactly the same thing. Goes out, I don't know whether the person is criminal, or because at the end we found out that the person was kind of cheated, kind of cheated. It's not the person wasn't bad, but person put the faith in the wrong person, right? Wrong guru, if we say. And that's why one of the Russian gurus, when he died, his last words were, Srila Prabhupada was right. Srila Prabhupada wasn't lying. Krishna consciousness works. Those were his last words, right? He could see, as I said, the reality comes at the end. Real atonement is when we awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness, and we need to do the tapasya. Tapasya could be chanting, tapasya could be taking the vow, we are not going to eat anything except Krishna conscious food, which is whatever we eat is sattvic and we offer to Krishna and then we eat. Tapasya, the austerities could be that we will definitely take the Ekadashi fast, and then training according to regulatory principle, and then there's a method we call systematic study of the scriptures, and then we apply them. And when we apply them, others will see. So when you are not putting the weight years after years, people will ask you, what have you been doing? If you are happy, somebody will ask, what do you do? You're always happy. It's like a free marketing. Why? Because whatever you have learned, you have applied in your life. That's it. Nothing else. You don't have to go out and say, I follow Krishna consciousness. People will realize you are spiritual. And it's not only Krishna consciousness. Other spiritual beings from other religions are also going to appear as beautiful as Krishna conscious devotees. Because it doesn't really matter which name you call Krishna. As long as you are connected with the Supreme, you got to follow the principles. Hare Krishna. Mataji, please.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, I'm just thinking that when you atonement is when you make a mistake or do something wrong. From
Yes.
that process to going to the real atonement, awakening of Krishna consciousness, it takes time. It's a long process.
Yes. Yes.
Original mistake, or we may be doing more mistakes in between the time from there to real atonement. And
Yes.
the link between tapasya or awakening Krishna consciousness, it is to calm down our, as you said, the six urges, isn't it? It acts towards
Yes.
that so that we don't get angry again in the for any
True.
other episode. Though we may
Yes.
still get angry.
Yeah. Yes. So right, Mataji. Thank you so much for that. You're right that and that's the reason I use the word sadhaka. We are practicing. And while we are practicing, we are not going to perfect ourselves overnight. So this is like the even in Krishna consciousness, well, I'll give the example of one of the doctors. So somebody was smoking, and the doctor said, if you are smoking 16 cigarettes every single day, don't say I'm going to stop it completely. No. Well, some people, some rare soul might able to do it. But no, from 16, do 14 to 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and then you will be able to reach zero. That's much more realistic and practical. Similar thing I remember, one of the Prabhuji and Mataji visited us in Damodar Desh in Dubai, and they both were from Europe, from Eastern Europe, and they used to live in Mayapur. So they were visiting the Damodar Desh. We met them somewhere. We invited to our residence. They decided to come, and we had a good time. And then we just started discussing how we got into Krishna consciousness. And then Prabhuji said that both of us came, but regarding the chanting, and he said that when I decide for himself, he said, my wife, she decided that she's going to start gradually and will do 2 rounds every often. And then we'll continue with 2 rounds, then increase by 2 rounds, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 16. What I decided, and then he said, he added, because of my ego, I said, from tomorrow I'm going to do 16 rounds. And then we all laughed because we all knew we have been there for a while. And then he said, well, as you can imagine, she managed to do 16 rounds consistently way before I realized that I'm doing wrong. I have to take baby steps. So the same thing in the atonement that whenever we will do the tapasya, don't just add tapasya austerity on us straight away in a very big, unrealistic way. Go slow. Go slow. Yes. So it says the journey of 1,000 steps will start from one step. But who has taken one step, the very first step, the faith could be there that the person might take the second step, might take the third step, and might reach 1,000. But the most important thing is to take the very first step. And when we realize we have made the mistake, when we have realized that we are going to do the atonement, that is the first step. Just the realization itself is the first step.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you.
Great.
Good
Thank you
answer.
so much, Mataji, for that. Yes, it's similarly, it got to be practical. Whatever we discuss in spirituality, it got to be practical. All the material roles also, like we say, the goals should be SMART, SMART. And then we specify, well, SMART, is specific. So we are not going to say, I'm going to improve. I'm going to improve in what? Specify yourself. SM, measurable. You will able to measure. I'm going to increase my chanting now. Okay, but how are you going to measure whether you are increasing or not? Okay, I'm going to add one extra round. Okay, that's a measurement now. Very specific. I'm going to do the chanting. I'm going to have the measurement. SMA. It's and the A could be many other things. But it's actually there. We are well, let's move on to the next one, which is very realistic. SMAR. it's very realistic that I can do it, right? And then T, the time bound, right? It's not that I'm going to do reach 16 in 6 days. No. And when you have the time, have a realistic time, SMART. So you can attain it, you are aspiring for it, but realistic and time bound. So don't just say I'm going to increase my chanting by one round. That's it. But by when? How often are you going to do it? So the time should be part of it. So these are the specific things, and this is the goal we need to have it there. So great question on that. Now moving on to the traditional tapasyas, there are various ways of doing the tapasyas, and these are the ones whichever acharyas are given. We get into them, and even though we are not perfect in one, because sometimes some devotees think, oh, when we are perfected in one, then we are going to move on to the second one, like Navvidya Bhakti, 9 forms. They're not 9 steps. The steps are you go on first, you go on second, then you go on third, then you go on fourth, five, six. But this is 9 forms. And you can do all the forms together, right? You can. You don't have to leave one form and or get perfect in one, then move on to the second. No, you can start all together. So we have discussed them and we will see them again and again. This is Panchatrik Tapasya. This is what Rupa Goswamiji mentioned. This is very ancient. It's there in the Vedas. That's how ancient it is. It cannot get more ancient than that. But of course, Srila Prabhupada mentioned it as well. But this is very similar to what we have Ashtang Yoga, very closer because people know yoga. Ashtang Yoga, people don't know. There are 8 limbs. But the very first one, Yam Niyam, do's and don'ts. And that's what we are saying here. What we should do, what we should not do. And every time we get into it, try to add a bit more into it. That's it. Slowly, gradually, try to add a bit more into it. So real atonement is awakening Krishna consciousness, right? That is, so the whole purpose is there. It's already there, it's dormant. Right? And how? By the association of the devotees, Guru, Sadhu, Sangha. Parikshit Maharaj's analogies of we have seen, especially the elephant ones. If we do the atonement, it got to be real atonement, not just for the sake of showing to everyone. And tapasya, austerity, we should always do it. Number of devotees have said it, but a very good god brother of mine said to me once, I was about to get the altar. And he said, Prabhuji, I'm going to get the altar. Please advise me something. And he said, well, you know. So he just said, oh, you know what altar is, how to get the altar. So I don't need to give any advice to you on that. But I will give you one advice. I said, yes, please, Prabhuji. That's what I'm looking for. Prabhuji said, and financially, he said, spend, because of course you could spend as much as you want on the altar. You could have a very simple one, or you could have very opulent, spending a lot and a lot of money on it, like some devotees they do. He said, go to the limit where it pinches you a bit. Go to the limit where it pinches you a bit. The whole idea is not to get comfortable. Become uncomfortable and interesting enough. Many other devotees, they have said it as well. This devotee, this god brothers of mine is in Muscat. He's from India. He's also Gujarati. He's from Gujarat, been living in Muscat, Mathura Desh for a long time. He said that. But when I came to London, and was it Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji or was it Swayam Bhagwan, Keshav Maharaj ji, who said that just don't become complacent wherever if you are. So one of the person asked the question in manner after Bhagavatam class, that how do we know we need to, are we improving or do we need to move forward? They say once you're comfortable, take a next step. And then person said, but then you will become uncomfortable. Then you need to remain uncomfortable if you want to improve. Which means if think of somebody like a racer in Olympics, somebody wants to train himself or herself for the Olympic race. The person is great, 100-meter race. You are 12 seconds. Comfortably, you can do 12 seconds. Now you're going to push for 11 and a half. You need to reduce the time. 11 and a half. You're comfortable in 11 and a half. Now you need to go further. How will you do? When you will make yourself uncomfortable. So when we become comfortable, we have a comfortable zone around us, we become complacent, we don't improve. That was the idea. What is tapasya? What is austerity? For how long we need to do it? As long as the body stays with us. If we like to leave this material body, we need to, or we need to make this material body uncomfortable. Never ever become comfortable with this body. Never ever. Otherwise, we will get attached to it. Give some austerity, whether it's mental, whether it's bodily level, or it's spiritual. Wherever we become comfortable, let's move on. Let's get a new challenge in our life. And this goes both ways, spiritual and material as well. Even material, we are working in the office, we are very comfortable where we are sitting. Now what? Well, get further, try something new, learn something new. And how this happens? This happens with the power of association. A great saying that show me your 5 friends and I can tell you what your personality is. Because you become what your friends are, with whom you associate with. So the whole thing starts with association and more or less the end with association. Association is probably the most important part of it. Right. Okay. So now different ways of thinking, remembering this purport, implying in our life. Again, remember this is just the first verse. And think in verse we have 6 things. Even if we pick one and we improve, let's say 2026 coming, and we will just decide out of these 6 things, we will work on one thing the whole year. That will be a great. Out of 6 things, if we pick one thing and work for a whole year, it will be immense success for us. And it will be a great tapasya for us as well. Any of those 6 things. And we should work on it. If whether we want it or not, people will force. People will force. Like Vacho Vegam. If you don't speak politely, people will, sooner or later you're going to find out. And with this, I've realized, even if you won't say anything to others and they speak badly to you, you don't say anything bad. You just give a smile. Sooner or later they realize it. Hare Krishna. Please, Mataji.
Yes, Vachuvegam. When we speak, we sometimes we don't speak with any bad intention or harming anybody, but it's how other person interprets what we say. So
Yes.
that is what sometimes can cause problems, especially I have experienced that.
Very
So
true, Mataji. Yes. Hare Krishna.
you have to
Thank you
say it
so much.
pleasantly. We try to say it pleasantly. I don't
Yes.
mean to harm anybody, never ever, but still
Mhm.
misunderstandings do happen.
Yes. So true, Mataji. So true. So this so Vacho Vegam, you're so right that Vegam is the flow, vague, and Vacho is what we speak. Now, we don't have the intentions to hurt someone, so we will not speak those words which we think will not harm others,
Mm.
right? But do we speak like which misinterpret? They say, is it possible? And it's a great art. Is it possible to speak such a way that the other person will not able to miss it? It's very hard. And that's why the saying in the Vedas are that so remember what we say, that we live this life with the senses, right? If our senses are shut, we will not experience anything. Hence, Buddhism says that control your senses. Bhagavad Gita gives the example of analogy of the turtle, the tortoise, who takes the limbs inside. Take the sun senses are like limbs, hands and the legs. And whenever something goes wrong, the very first thing turtle does will retract the limbs inside. And Krishna says that this is what enlightened being will do. So how we can act in that? So what the Vedas says about it, that enlightened being will experience something which cannot be expressed, which cannot be expressed in words, which cannot be expressed in words. Then how will you express it? And if I say, because I read in Hindi, yes. So it says nirvan. So first I say Hindi, then I will translate. Nirvan, which is enlightenment. Nirvan गूंगे का ज्ञान है. गूंगा कैसे किसी को समझाए बोलकर.
Mhm.
So the enlightened being has experienced something which cannot be expressed in words. Cannot be expressed in words. And the same has been explained in many, many different forms. And every time the teacher says, I cannot express it, I cannot explain it in words, I'm just indicating. It's like the example is given in the Shastras that a mother shows a child the very first time what is moon, but the moon is very far away. And the mother will say, look at my finger. Look at my finger. And if you will follow my finger, then you will able to see the moon. And the child is now focusing on the finger. And mother saying, finger is not what I want to show you. Finger is only indicating towards the moon. But my finger cannot reach to the moon. And this is what the enlightened being is. And this is where we would like to be. That's why it's self-realization. But once we have self-realization, the only thing we could do is indicate. But when we will indicate, the others will not understand.
Mhm.
But what we can do, you're so right. Then we say something, another person and I have a couple of kids, and if we are parents, and even sometimes in the partners or friends or siblings, it doesn't really matter how old we are. We say something with such a great intentions, but the other person will just take it other way around. What do we do in that case? Well, that's the thing. Not what we say, what we do in that case. We cannot, words cannot express this, but what we do can. Words cannot, but what we do can. For example, you need to explain someone that if you read Bhagavad Gita, it will help you. They might not understand. But how about that? You say, I'm going to the temple for darshan. Would you like to come? Would you like to come and give me the company? Sometimes I do it with kids. So my wife is not around. She's coming tomorrow, but she was away for 3 weeks to attend a wedding in India. So I'm there in the kitchen. While I'm there in the kitchen preparing the prasadam, I can't follow the kids. And the whole day they are in the school. I would like to be part of their life. I would like to hear from the school. But I'm there in the kitchen. And kitchen, the food is ready, prasadam ready, do the aarti, take the prasad, they go back and we sleep. And it happened few days. Then what I said to them, I said, after when once they are back from the school, that would you please come in the kitchen? I need your help. I didn't say that I would like to say something to you. I said, I need help. So action is there, not words. When they are in the kitchen and they will say, what can we do? What can we help? Oh, could you do this? Could you do that? Could you please help in that? Thank you so much for helping. While they are helping in the kitchen, they are also sharing what happened there in the school with them. The purpose is solved. When they are sharing, then
Mhm.
I quietly listen. And a lot of times I want to say something, but they don't want to hear. I want to say, but they don't want to hear. What shall I do? I just listen all the time. And then at some point I say, you know what? This happened with me as well once. And then, of course, the kids, and both my kids are teenagers, and they have such a, well, we all do, but I think a teenager, the ego is even at next level where they know everything. You can't correct them. But so if you then tell them directly, then they won't listen. Srila Prabhupada ji gives the example that a wise mother-in-law want to teach something to the new wedded sister-in-law, but she will not, the mother-in-law will not teach directly to to the daughter-in-law. Sorry, the mother-in-law will not teach to daughter-in-law. Mother-in-law will tell the daughter in the house, and then the daughter-in-law will listen to this, and then will understand, in this new house, this is how we do things. So it's hard, Mataji. You're right. It's so hard, but don't. The relations go bad. My advice would be, don't say. You will never, because you can't control in that way. It's how they. It's like the receiver is bad. If the frequency in terms, if the receiver is on a different wavelength, a different frequency, doesn't really matter what's coming in, is going to go to the wrong channel. You can't really do anything at that time. The only thing you can do, you can take that receiver in such a circumstances where the receiver will change.
Mm.
Receiver realize himself or herself that, I think I am on a wrong frequency. And this happens. Like, again, taking the example of the kids, and even in the family, a lot of times if you say to someone elder, that oh well, could you do that, like I say, my elder brother, my mom, my dad, they all are elder than me, their life experience is much more than me. If I go and tell them something, I won't be able to do that. Gorang Prabhuji did it. Gorang Prabhuji said, I've been giving the lecture for so long, but when I had to give the lecture to my own family member, I didn't do it. He said, I didn't do it. He said, I took my friends with me, not even my senior with me. He said, I took my friends with me. And when I went to my friend's place, my friend who gave lecture to my family, he didn't give lecture to his family. I gave discourse. So it's that kind of relationship we have, that we can't, if there's a background there that people will misinterpret, if the sometimes the circumstances are like that, it's better not to. That's not the best time to. And so Shivram Swamiji, I think, said once that no yeah Maharaj mentioned in his book that about someone else, saying that mentioned about Saint of Aziz. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. Saint of Aziz, a Christian monk. Christian monk, a great, beautiful soul. And he and many other religions have mentioned him. Aziz or Azizi, Saint of Aziz, Saint of Azizi. And Maharaj mentioned that what he said, what Saint said, that I have been teaching and preaching for many years. Sometimes I spoke. I have been teaching and preaching for many years. Sometimes I spoke, which means we can teach and we can preach by our actions, right? Just being there with someone. Like we say, what is the best conversation two friends have? When they come, they sit next to each other, none of them say a single word, and they still feel that compassion among themselves. So words are just one way of transferring the knowledge, but actions are much more profound, much more profound. So I think that's where it is. But you're right, Mataji. This is really hard spot. I know you would like to, because you have. I did a test. So Bhagavatam. I'm doing. I did the Bhagavatam. Excuse me. In Bhagavatam, we have 12 cantos. So there are different courses. First three cantos, then next three, then next three. So I did third or fourth now, where the last unit ended, and they always do their test on it. And in the test, one of the question, and I did a couple of days back, I guess. One of the question was that Vaishnavas, what is the common thing there is a personality in Bhagavatam, Ranti Deva. So what is the common thing between Ranti Deva and Vaishnavas? And the thing is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, which is a good quality of Vaishnava. What is that common theme? And the common thing is Vaishnavas get only sad when they see others' sadness. So the word in Sanskrit is para dukha dukhi. Para dukha dukhi. So Vaishnavas get sad when they see other people's sadness. Para dukha dukhi. This is what Ranti Deva did, this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, this is what Bhagavatam teaches us. And when we see that other person are miserable and we might have the solution, do the chanting, do this, do that. How we will explain? By words. But when we will explain by words, people won't take it. So we just need to be compassionate. If people are not ready, then better is to take them in the retreat, take them in the temple, or when wherever the spiritual functions are happening. If you can take person there, it might not work all the time, but this is the only thing we can do. Or prasadam. Prasadam is another thing that, another good friend of mine, he said that I'm not good in, even though Prabhuji is really good, I'm not good in preaching, I'm not good in music. He's much better than me. But he said, when I invite people to my place, the only hope I have that I offer the food to Krishna and that becomes prasad, and I offer all these people the prasadam, that this prasadam might awaken Krishna consciousness in all these people who might become devotee later. Prabhuji is doing a great service. At least last 10 years, I know him very well. So if nothing else works, prasadam, everyone loves prasadam. So great. Thank you so much for everyone's association today. It's been a great session, I believe. About again, think of this 2026 coming. As I said, if you can do like 1 month, we will work on, or 1 week, we will work on one part of these six. That will be great. Otherwise, it's just one thing. I think that will do awesome. We will have such a great spiritual progress. So with that, Srila Prabhupada ki
Yes.
jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Prabhuji. Hare,
Prabhuji.
thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.